Okay, welcome back everybody. This lesson is going to cover dividing mixed numbers. So let's go ahead and get started. Now before you start dividing, there's some rules that you're going to want to follow. Now this is something we talked about in a previous lesson, but I'm going to go ahead and go over it again. Now you're going to be finding the reciprocal of one of the fractions before you divide. Just to kind of review here, what is the reciprocal? It's when you take the numerator and denominator and you switch their positions. So like right here, if I want to find the reciprocal of 5/8, you're going to put the 5 in the bottom and you're going to take the 8 and put it in the top. That's all you have to do. So look at this crazy wild animation right here and look. So the 8 turned to the top and the 5 went to the bottom. Let's see that again. Let's see that again in slow motion, which I think is what it is anyway. So you got 8/5. And that's it. Now your first instinct might be to be like, well, should I change it to a mixed number? Should I change it to 1 3/5? And the answer to that is no. Do not change it to a mixed number. The point of reciprocal is just to flip it. Now, what is reciprocal of a mixed number? Now, this is important to talk about here. Now, when you find the reciprocal of a mixed number, you've got to convert it into an improper fraction. You got to change it into ratio form. It's very important. You cannot flip a mixed number. Mixed numbers are not going to be flipped around. You've got to change it into ratio form, which means you got to change it into improper form. Very, very important. So you got 8 2/5. So don't flip anything. A lot of people end up doing this. They'll say, oh, I've got it. I'll just change it to 8 5/2. That will never, ever work. That's a terrible way of doing it. So don't do it that way. So you've got to change it into improper first. So 5 times 8, which is 40. And then add 2, which is 42. So now you have 42/5. And then it's all ready to be flipped. So now it's all set. Flip the fraction. And here we go. And there everything flips around in that fancy animation I made. And you got 5/42. Now you'll notice that when we did that, now it's a proper fraction. It's a regular fraction, 5/42. Before it was improper, it was 42/5. Right? If I go back, it was 42/5, which is improper, which means it's greater than 1. And then when you change it to a reciprocal, now it's less than 1, and now it's between 0 and 1, which is what fractions should be, right? That's what a proper fraction is, between 0 and 1. Right? In this next slide right here, just kind of covering how to divide mixed numbers, which is really the same stuff, same process, same algorithm as multiplying mixed numbers, except for the added part where you have to flip the second fraction, but pretty much everything's the same. We still have to change mixed numbers into improper. We have to change division into multiplication. That's a huge deal. Flip the second fraction, which is called the reciprocal. Cross-canceling, of course, is optional, but we're going to do that anyway because I think it's always a good thing to practice how to cross-cancel. Multiply across the numerator and denominators, from left to right. It should be, without saying here, simplify the fraction. Always simplify it into lowest terms. Okay, so our first example here involves 1 3/7 divided by 1 7/8. So the first step, let's kind of follow the steps here. The first step is to change mixed numbers into improper. So 1 3/7 is going to change into 10/7 because you multiply. 7 times 1 is 7, and then add the 3, right? That makes 10. Divided by, and change that into improper as well. So 8 times 1 is 8, and then 8 plus 7 is 15. Sometimes students end up wanting to do like everything all at once, which I get it. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I'm going to kind of take this one step at a time. Slow and steady wins the race a lot of times when you're doing math. So the first thing I did was I just took care of changing mixed numbers into improper. That was the first thing. All right, now we can go to the next step, which is flip the second fraction. So we're going to keep 10/7 the way it is, 10/7, and we're going to flip 15/8 into 8/15. All right, and then it says change division to multiplication, so I'm going to go ahead and just do that right there. I know I kind of did that second and third step all at the same time, but that doesn't matter. So you got 10/7 times 8/15. Now, important teaching note here, it's okay at this point to cross cancel if you want to. If that actually is an option. Right here, do not cross cancel. So very important that you do not cross cancel, even though it might look very tempting. They might put numbers that are diagonal from each other that are exactly the same. But no matter how tempting it looks, when you have division presented, you cannot cross cancel. Remember, only cross cancel when you see the cross, when you see the X there. So that's what you're going to do. So at this step right here, we're going to cross cancel, looks like the 10 and 15 can cross cancel because you can both divide those factors by 5. Both 10 and 15 can both be divided by 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2, and then 15 divided by 5 is 3. Now the 8 and the 7 do not cross cancel, so at this point we can just multiply from left to right. So now we can just do 2 times 8 for the numerator, and we can do 7 times 3 for the denominator. So 2 times 8 is 16, and then 7 times 3 is 21. And then we are through, because this problem right here, it's not improper. 16 is smaller than 21, and they don't have any common factors. The only number they can divide into 16 would be dividing by 4. Well, that doesn't go into 21. We could divide 16 by 2. Well, that doesn't divide into 21. Or we can divide by 8, and that doesn't go into 21. Or we could divide into 16, but none of those work. None of those actually work. So that's our answer, 16 over 21. And we're through with that problem. All right, now in this example right here, when we're dividing mixed numbers, it doesn't matter if everything's a mixed number. Now this particular example has a mixed number, 1 4/5, and you're dividing it by basically just a regular fraction, 3/5, 1 4/5. So you don't have to change everything. We just have to change the mixed number. You have 5 times 1, which is 5, and then 5 plus 4, which is 9. So you end up getting 9 over 5. The second fraction, 3/5, is not a mixed number, so we don't need to change it into improper fraction. Now the next step, we're just going to combine these two steps together. The next step, we're going to flip the second fraction, and we're going to change division into multiplication. So leave 9/5 alone, change division to multiplication, and then change 3/5 to 5/3. Okay, now at this point, we're ready to cross cancel. So in this problem right here, we have both of the diagonals here can both be cross canceled. So the 5s here can both turn into 1. And the 9 and the 3 can both be divided by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 3 divided by itself is 1. So let's multiply from left to right. We've got 3 times 1, and on the bottom we have 1 times 1. And that's pretty simple arithmetic right there. We just have 3 over 1, which equals 3. And we're through with that problem. We're finished. That is completely done. Okay, so that does it for this lesson right here. Hopefully you understood this okay. Make sure you do the practice problems that accompany this lesson. And that does it. Everyone have a great day. I'll see you later.